And hello everyone, how are you today? It is April 19th, 2023. It's Bryan Barron, Director of Skincare Research at Paula's Choice Skincare. I sound like a DJ. Coming at you from the Twin Cities. Coming at you from the home office in Michigan. And we are here to talk about a brand new product, our Resist Triple Active Total Repair Serum. It just launched earlier this week, late last week, relatively recently. It's funny because I not directly working on the marketing team. I know like what month products are launching, but I don't hold that date in my head. And it's always interesting to be in that position where you're going back and forth between what's coming, like what's gonna launch very soon, and then what we are working on that's at a different point in development, but it's actually going to happen, and what we're ideating on that may or may not happen. It's a lot to keep straight. So, but I can say that I have been so excited to tell you guys about this product because I have been using it for probably going on 10 months now. And I think the results speak for themselves. So seriously, it's just, I know you might be watching thinking, why does Paula's Choice keep doing this to us? But if you recall my live chat for the Pro Collagen Multi-Peptide Booster and how I was explaining that this product really took my skin and the results I see to the next level, so did this. And the synergy between those two has just been remarkable. I'll tell you some of the things that I've noticed after several months of using this serum, and I've been able to use it once per day. I put it on at night, and then I follow with my moisturizer and eye cream. Sometimes I'll layer a booster or serum over that, depending on what else is going on with my skin. But it's just, I'm so excited about this product. It's quickly, it does contain a retinoid. I'll explain what it is and what we mean by retinoid. But it's really become a must-have in my routine. And it's just, I think the biggest reason for that is because it does so many cool things all at once. So it's one of those serums that I think is very appealing if you are into skinimalism, meaning you want to use as few products as possible, but you want to make sure that every product you're using, because you've got this truncated routine, this minimal routine, is giving you the most it possibly can. So there's that crowd that I think this serum will appeal to. And then for the skincare junkies, somebody more like me who's like, yeah, I'll put on 8 products at night if I like the results. What the heck? Yeah. We can slot it into our routine as well. And it doesn't, I am speaking anecdotally here, but again, knowing everything I know about the ingredients and how this formula is so special, I have a feeling that most people's experience will be similar to mine, in that you may think, my routine's pretty dang comprehensive. I've got this step covered, that step covered. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm using this ingredient, that ingredient. And then you add this into the mix, and within a week or so, you're going to be like, okay, wow, that was money well spent. This is time well spent. And depending on what else you're using, you may want to have this serum replace something else in your routine. But the good news is, and I'll touch on this in a bit more detail, it can be used with anything that's already in your routine. So, product name, Triple Active Total Repair Serum. The triple active part refers to the 3 key ingredients, which I'll be discussing. It is $48 for a 1 ounce fill. The bottle is made of 17.5% PCR, which stands for post-consumer recycled plastic. As you can see, it is opaque, it is airless, it has a very smooth operating pump. I've been using the product in undecorated component, but it's the same component as this, and I have had 0 issues with the pump. It's so 1 or 2 pumps for the face and the neck. I've been taking it down to my neck too. I am one of those people, especially as I've gotten older, that I am definitely paying more attention to the skin on my neck. I've always been good since I've started using sunscreen about covering that area as well. As fair as I am, you know, and as thin as the skin on the neck is, I don't want a sunburn there. And how silly is that going to look if my face is, you know, as pale as this and my neck is red, you know, lobster red. But I just don't want to be somebody whose face looks younger than my actual age, but my neck is a giveaway as to how old I really am because I just haven't taken care of it. So sometimes at Paula's Choice we refer to that as chest up skincare, and that whatever you put on your face you can also take down your neck and put in the décolletage area, and you can absolutely do that with this serum. So what is it? It is a lightweight, milky textured, anti-aging serum. Again, it's for all skin types, and it leverages innovative ingredient technologies to repair and to some extent help reverse the most common signs of aging fueled by UV damage. This, at this point in time, is our best serum to date for people who want or for people whose main concern is signs of aging directly attributable to sun exposure, who want a product that also helps reverse the damage that they're not seeing yet. So it works within skin to help it look and act younger. It helps renew brightness. It reduces telltale signs of sun damage, most prominently wrinkles and dark spots. The ideal person for this serum is someone in their mid-30s and older who has visible signs of sun damage, including fine and coarse wrinkles, uneven skin tone, dark spots, and larger areas of hyperpigmentation that can come from that sun damage, as well as an impaired barrier. The serum is also a good choice for those who found their skin cannot tolerate retinol or prescription retinoids. But before I go any further, what do we mean by retinoids? And why did we say that this serum has a retinoid in it? It contains a retinoid known as retinol proprionate, not a very commonly known retinoid, but it's so integral to this formula, and the synergy between it and the two other main ingredients is so special that we did not want to take that out and swap in another more familiar sounding retinoid. But to answer the question of what is a retinoid, it is a general term for a group of vitamin A ingredients, whether they're direct vitamin A or an analog of vitamin A. And they can be both over the counter, like retinol, retinal, retinaldehyde, hydroxypenocolone retinoate, retinol acetate, retinol retinoate, retinol linoleate. Those are the most common OTC retinoids, and then you have the retinol proprionate as well. Less common, but I think it's going to be one of those that's up and coming. And then you have your RX retinoids, tretinoin being the most famous and probably the most studied. That's the active ingredient in brand name prescription products like Renova. Tretinoin is also available in formularies from other pharmaceutical brands. It's also available generically. You've got adapalene, which is brand name is Differin. That is available in its original prescription strength over the counter now, and then there's a stronger version that you need a prescription for. There's tazarotene, which brand name is Tazorac. And then there's Atrilin. There's a few other newer prescription retinoids. Whether or not you should or shouldn't be using those is a discussion to have with your dermatologist. But generally, when we refer to retinoids, it's kind of an umbrella term for all of those vitamin A ingredients, be they cosmetic or prescription. Key benefits, key features of this serum: it signals the skin to repair and renew, re-energize itself. It's great for targeting both fine and coarse wrinkles. Again, that hyperpigmentation, as well as the age-related decrease in skin cell turnover, which is one of the things that the retinol propionate acts on. Essentially, that's the slowdown of normal skin cell differentiation. Like a lot of things that happen with age, skin cell turnover rate slows down. What would normally take 28 days on average for a brand new baby born skin cell to mature and differentiate its way through from the living layers of skin to the surface dead layers of skin, where it flattens and becomes a dead cell. That's the kind of cells that leave-on exfoliants act on. That whole process can slow down. And so can the shedding process. And so that's why with increasing age, and sun damage makes this worse, but what happens is you start seeing a dull, often rough textured skin surface. Skin is not as luminous as it once was. It isn't reflecting light as evenly as it once did. So retinoids, including the retinol propionate we're using in this serum, can impact all that. It can help get that natural process back in order. This serum can also reduce that surface inflammation that, left unchecked, can go on to trigger collagen breakdown, which you don't want. You want to save as much collagen as you can if your goal is to have your skin look as youthful and healthy as possible as you age into like a fine wine. We also have ingredients in here, including the retinol propionate and the niacinamide, that provide multi-layer antioxidant protection. It also, one of the roles of niacinamide is that it helps to reverse the age-related decline of something called NAD+, and that stands for nicotinamide adenine nucleotide. And essentially what that is a cell-energizing molecule. It is found throughout the body. Pretty much everything that the body does, without us having to think about it, depends in some way or another on NAD+. As that level starts to naturally decline with age and accumulated damage, skin is not able to carry out many of the things that it does that keep it looking young, smooth, vibrant, supple. And so niacinamide, because it can have that topical boosting effect on the NAD+, this helps promote a more normal skin surface cell energy, and it helps skin to visibly reset itself to that healthier, younger look. And that's just one of a long list of things that niacinamide can do for skin. And then, believe it or not, despite the fact that it contains a retinoid, and there are some people that can't use retinol, the most long-standing form, this serum, because of the synergy between the three main ingredients and because of the supporting ingredients that we've chosen, it really does help to strengthen and repair your barrier. So I'm very confident recommending this serum to a wide range of people, even those who have more sensitive or reactive skin. Doesn't mean that you'll be able to use it twice a day, and you of course always want to consider what else you're using in your routine. That maybe end up, if you add this serum in, it may end up being too much all at once. So as with any routine where you're looking at more bioactive products, you may have to separate usage of the products between morning and evening routines, not because the ingredients can't be applied at the same time, but because on your particular skin, you found that combination isn't the best. Some really nice clinical stats. We did clinical testing on this serum. Twice daily use, people were seeing a measurable reduction in wrinkles in 1 week. Up to a 57% increase in visible firmness after 3 days, dark spot reduction in 3 days, and skin tone improvement after a week of twice daily use, barrier improvement, again, clinically measured, not just, oh yeah, my skin feels softer, so my barrier must be better. So this was objective, not subjective, within 2 weeks. Key ingredients. I know I'm throwing a lot at you at once, and please put in the questions that you have about this serum. I also have some frequently asked questions that I personally selected that I'll talk about at the end of this description on the serum itself. So the key ingredients are indicated by the triple in the name and include retinol propionate, 0.3%, 0.4% of an ingredient known as Hexal Resourcinol, and 5% niacinamide. This pairing of niacinamide with Hexal Resourcinol is capable of interrupting multiple melanin-stimulating pathways in skin to help improve, and really does a beautiful job of this, improve the look of discolorations and a dull, uneven skin tone caused by sun damage. I use our 10% niacinamide booster along with the Pro Collagen Multi-Peptide Booster as part of my morning routine. And I have not had any issues with using this serum with its 5% concentration of niacinamide at night. My skin really seems to love that ingredient. I have not tried it with the 20% niacinamide treatment that we offer, but I don't have any reason to believe that that would be at all problematic. The duo of the niacinamide and Hexal Resourcinol is also play a role separately and together in boosting that NAD plus energizing substance in skin's uppermost layers. So retinol propionate, that is an ester of retinol formed by joining retinol, OL, with propionic acid, which is a fatty acid that's a byproduct of sugar metabolism. Retinol propionate, what's interesting about it and what helps make it much more tolerable is it metabolizes to retinoic acid, which is what all of those retinoids need to break down to in skin in order to work. Retinol propionate does that deeper in the skin and it interacts with both the alpha retinoic acid receptors and what's known as retinoid X receptors, or RXR. This ingredient has, comparative studies have shown it delivers all of the same benefits as retinol. The visible reduction in fine lines and deep wrinkles, improvement of uneven skin tone, refining signs of enlarged pores, and fading discolorations from sun exposure. Comparative research has also shown that by combining niacinamide with retinol propionate, it increases this retinoid's signaling activity within skin without leading to an uptick in irritation. So it isn't very often where you're able to increase the beneficial properties and what a single ingredient can do for skin without, it's a push-pull, because you can get that increased activity. Maybe it's, a better firmness, faster fading of discoloration, but it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost of an increased risk of visible or sensorial side effects. So visible being dry, flaky skin, a sensorial one being that tingling sensation or skin feeling warm to the touch. But in essence, the niacinamide helps or lets the retinol propionate remain effective for longer. Researchers aren't quite sure how it does that, but it's theorized that niacinamide enhances the activity of this retinoid by modulating how quickly it breaks down to retinoic acid. And it's theorized that, again, going back to that uptick in the NAD plus within skin's uppermost layers, that helps inhibit the reduction of retinal back to retinol, OL, and that is the chemical process in skin that can cause what some dermatologists refer to as retinol dermatitis. So with retinol, OL, as it's broken down into skin, and I'm not knocking this ingredient, it does remain one of the gold standards for youthful, healthy skin. We are continuing to use retinol. But one of its drawbacks, depending on your skin, is that as it breaks down to retinoic acid, if that process isn't efficient enough, it can revert back to its precursor form. And that backward conversion is what can trigger those signs of irritation. retinol propionate that once it converts, once it doesn't go through as many conversion steps as retinol, once it starts converting and breaking down to retinoic acid, it is on that road. There is no turning back. It can't revert back to its precursor form. And that is one of the reasons it's theorized to have greater tolerability on skin than original retinol. Very cool ingredient. Really excited that we're finally able to offer it to you. And the 0.3% amount is what the majority of studies on it, including those done at Unilever, looked at. Hexal Resourcinol is many things. It's an antioxidant. It's anti-glycation. Glycation is a process wherein key proteins in skin supportive layer start to harden and cross-link. If you liken young collagen in skin, for example, to fresh dough, let's say you're making bread and you look at that fresh dough and it's soft and it's smooth and it's pliant and it has some bounce back when you press down on it. But then what happens after you bake that bread, because the bread literally goes through a glycation process. I should say the dough goes through a glycation process to become bread. And when you take that fresh loaf of bread out of the oven, yes, it may smell great, but that beautiful brown top that you're looking at, that you want to just slice into and melt some butter on, and that brown top, that is achieved via glycation. So if you compare that brown top to what the dough was like before and liken that to skin, it's very much what happens to skin's underlying supportive elements. They start to become hard. They start to become, you press down on them and instead of bouncing back, it kind of continues to fragment. So Hexal Resourcinol can help interrupt some of the damaging elements that skin can generate that lead to that glycation process. It works on discoloration by helping to inhibit a enzyme that stimulates excess melanin production. It does so not by reducing the activity of the enzyme itself, but it does so by binding with it, the enzyme isn't quite sure what it's supposed to do, so it can't go on and cause trouble. It just basically is kind of neutralized by this ingredient. Studies have shown that Hexal Resourcinol is actually a more potent inhibitor of this enzyme within skin than hydroquinone, than kojic acid, as well as licorice. And its antioxidant benefit comes from its ability, it can increase the levels of two antioxidant enzymes in skin. Glutathione peroxidase, which comes from glutathione, the body's master antioxidant, and reductase. It's also capable of scavenging peroxyl and oxygen radicals, and that is important because those different types of radicals go after different portions of skin. So one of them goes after the proteins in skin, and then the other is more damaging to the lipids in skin. So altogether, Hexal Resourcinol reinforces our multi-level antioxidant claim, and it just one of the neutralization that it has on those free radicals, particularly the ones that impact the lipids, is important because left unchecked in the presence of environmental aggressors, that damage can go on to stimulate excess uneven melanin production, which is what's going to fuel that uneven skin tone and that those dark spots that you don't want to see. And so this is our first time using this ingredient as well. And it also has a natural soothing action that, again, is going to help protect those supportive elements in skin from that damaging glycation. So those are the three main ingredients in the Triple Active Total Repair Serum. Then we have, as supporting, we have tocotrienols. Tocotrienol is essentially the whole kit and caboodle Does anybody else use that word anymore? Of vitamin E. There's different types of tocopherols. Tocotrienols gets you the alpha, the beta, the delta, and the gamma, as well as alpha tocopherol. And what this does is provides more efficient multi-layer antioxidant protection for skin surface lipids to help defend against those external aggressors, not just UV light, but also airborne pollutants. It reduces hyperpigmentation. It helps to brighten skin by suppressing some proteins within skin's uppermost layers that you don't want getting overexpressed, because again, that fuels discoloration. It also helps prevent inflammation in skin from UV exposure, which is another key aspect of why, and we're using this at a higher than usual level in this serum. And the last reason we wanted to include it is because it has a nice further stabilization effect on the retinol propionate. That retinol propionate overall is more stable than retinol and some other retinoids, but like all of the retinoid ingredients, it is not impervious and definitely can become weaker with ongoing exposure to light and air. The tocotrienols also help to improve skin's barrier strength by improving there is a protein, a good protein that is part of skin's barrier defense. It's called Phalagrin, and it helps prevent that degradation, because when that Phalagrin gets degraded in skin, either through external sources, through irritating ingredients, for example, your skin barrier becomes weaker in the process. Another supporting ingredient is hydroxystearic acid. It's a fatty acid that definitely doesn't sound too exciting, but it's definitely amazing in the context of this serum. The special type that we're using in this serum activates PPAR alpha receptors in skin surface layers. And why is this important? PPARs, as they're called, they are receptor sites, and they've been shown to regulate areas of skin responsible for everything from barrier balance, surface cell turnover, the synthesis of lipids such as ceramides, as well as how skin responds to sources of inflammation. They bind to different receptor sites. They can have a strong influence on skin supportive elements, particularly collagen 3, and there is one study that shows that the combination of hydroxystearic acid with some of the other ingredients in this serum has a firming effect that is up to 5 times more, 5 times greater than what one would see with more conventional formulas that aren't engineered in quite the same way. Let me just put it that way. The activity of PPARs, you're sensing a pattern here, it declines with age. So keeping those going, keeping those available within skin's uppermost layers just is going to, it's sort of like turning a key, if you will, that restarts the engine of your skin surface to help it respond better to everything around it, to help it look and feel healthier, smoother, and of course all of that leads to younger looking, more even toned skin. But I think that one of the most exciting things about PPARs, there's 2 things. One is that it helps improve skin's ability to make its own ceramides, which is going to lead to less dehydration, less dryness, a stronger barrier. And it also helps improve skin's ability to tolerate retinol, because PPARs within skin's surface layers are directly responsible for how efficiently skin can utilize topical retinoids. If you have fewer of those receptor sites turned on or working as they should be, skin can metabolize retinol, break it down too quickly, which can cause irritation, not quickly enough, which can lead to too long of a half-life in skin, which can trigger signs of sensitization down the road. A common example would be you're applying retinol, day 1 great, day 2 great, day 3 great, and then by the time you get to day 5, you're starting to see and feel signs of irritation. That's because it has a longer half-life in skin than it should, and it may indeed be a sign that those PPAR receptors aren't working the way that they should be. Lastly, we have chestnut leaf extract. That is a certified organic as well as sustainable plant whose leaves, we're using a leaf extract, are rich sources of 2 very soothing antioxidant compounds. One of them is called astragalin and the other is called myquelionin. What these do in terms of barrier health is they not only work to help reduce water loss, but they also have an impact at the surface of reducing the overpopulation of a type of bacteria known as S. aureus without harming the microbiome. So when that surface population of S. aureus gets too high, skin can become more vulnerable to environmental triggers of irritation. And so that one of the offshoots of the chestnut leaf applied topically is that it can help soothe and help to some extent prevent those signs of irritation that would result from that disruption in the microbiome, where that population of the good and the bad bacteria has gotten out of balance. Lastly, it helps reduce, that gets to be a little bit more technical, but suffice it to say, the chestnut leaf extract was a really special find because it not only does it do some amazing things for skin on its own, but again, it's also working to make the 3 main ingredients much easier for skin to tolerate. So it really is this was a very exciting formula to pull together because we had this existing technology, this research-based technology on the 3 main, those triple active ingredients, and then we were able to find some supporting ingredients that not only bring benefits of their own, but they also bring benefits that enhance and help improve the ability of skin to handle what makes this serum more potent. So just very, very happy with how this turned out. I realized I did not do a show and tell. That is what it looks like. It's a most semi-opaque cream, super lightweight. You can see it kind of just shears out really clear. It has a nice slip to it. It is vegan. It is siloxane and silicone free. It is paraben free, fragrance free, of course. It is not oil free because it contains some rice bran oil. Not a lot. Again, somebody with combination skin, I've got that oily T-zone. I put this all over my face. I personally don't perceive it as being greasy at all. So let's dive into. Let's dive into some of the FAQs. Does the Resist Triple Active Total Repair Serum replace the other Paula's Choice serums or treatments I'm using? Not necessarily. In fact, most will find it can complement the routine because it works well with so many other of the key ingredients in products of ours that you may also be using, like AHA, BHA, of course, vitamin C, azelaic acid, just to name a few. You might find you want to replace another product you're using with the Resist Triple Active Total Repair Serum, or you can simply add this product as an addition to your skincare routine. So whether you're that skincare junkie I spoke of, or into more of the skinimalism approach, I think you can find a home for this. What's the difference between this Resist Triple Active Total Repair Serum and the clinical 1% retinol treatment? So the clinical 1% retinol treatment is definitely a more potent product whose concentration of the pure retinol and a blend of peptides is more focused on reducing deep wrinkles and really renewing that firmer look and feel when skin is showing more advanced signs of aging. It also contains a different mix of soothing ingredients than the Resist Triple Active Total Repair Serum, and it's really more geared toward reducing universal signs of the Triple Active Total Repair Serum, not as potent, and it's more geared toward reducing universal signs of aging that have to do with accumulated sun damage. So I would say if you have more advanced signs of sun damage, if you have deeper wrinkles, you'll want to go for the clinical 1% retinol treatment. However, if you're still thinking, I want to try this serum and see what it can do, you can always experiment. If you're using the 1% retinol treatment nightly, you can keep up with that and then put the Triple Active Total Repair Serum on during the daytime. Follow with your sunscreen, of course. You can see how that goes. Or you can alternate. If you just want to do once daily application, you can just go back and forth. One night, Triple Active Total Repair. Next night, Clinical 1% Retinol. So what's better for discolorations? The Clinical Discoloration Repair Serum or the Resist Triple Active Total Repair Serum? Clinical Discoloration Repair Serum also has the 5% niacinamide, but its lead hyperpigmentation ingredient is that 3% tranexamic acid. So known as hydroquinone's rival, that ingredient is pretty much a brightening powerhouse and a must-have ingredient if you are dealing with multiple types of discolorations. If more stubborn discolorations are your primary concern, I would push you toward, well, not literally push, I would urge you to try the Clinical Discoloration Repair Serum over this. However, there is the Hexal Resourcinol and the Retinol Proprionate and the Tocotrienols. Those work on different elements of the hyperpigmentation process. So you could also do what I've done. I use this all over for just general skin tone improvement and discoloration improvement, as well as fine line reduction. And I use the Clinical Discoloration Repair Serum on my trouble spots, which for me are like kind of right through here is where I have some mild melasma. And what I've noticed since doing that is my discolorations have gotten even lighter. So I thought I had gotten to a point with the Clinical Discoloration Repair Serum where my hyperpigmentation was as good as it's going to get, and so I'm continuing to use that serum to maintain those results, but I'm not expecting, because you can pretty much get to where you're going to, full results with the Clinical Discoloration Repair Serum are going to be seen in around 3 months of daily use. Twice daily use is better than once daily use in terms of seeing results faster. So if you're only using it once a day, I'd say maybe at about the 4 to 6 month mark is when you can step back and say, okay, how are the results? Because it's probably not going to get any better than that. That's where I was. And so I was continuing to use the serum. I added this, again, not spot treating, I'm just putting this all over. So of course it's touching the discolored areas, and I continued using the Clinical Discoloration Repair Serum, and lo and behold, further improvement. So I was a happy camper. So all of that is to say there's no reason you can't use both. Is Triple Active Total Repair Serum suitable for those with sensitive and or rosacea prone skin? It is, although it always depends on how skin reacts. Research has shown retinol itself can help reduce the redness and the irritation that's an underlying factor in visible signs of rosacea. If you're currently using a prescription topical for rosacea, I would absolutely consult your pharmacist or the prescribing provider. Let them know about that you're considering this serum and get their okay before you add it to your routine. Next one, can the Resist Triple Active Total Repair Serum be used along with prescription retinol or adapalene? You can test it. You can test alternating the Resist Triple Active Total Repair Serum with your prescription products. We do recommend, of course, that you consult your dermatologist if you're currently using any prescription retinoid or other acne medications, or if you've been diagnosed, as I mentioned, with rosacea and you're using prescription products to help control the signs of that. I do think that the overall soothing action of Triple Active Total Repair Serum is going to be highly compatible with most topical prescription products, but your healthcare provider may have a different opinion, or they may advise you on usage instructions that differ from the general recommendation that we make. What is the difference between the Resist Triple Active Total Repair Serum and prescription retinol? So prescription retinols are generally going to be more potent, and there's a wider variety of options and strengths available. Not to mention, some prescription retinols are designated for acne, some are better for wrinkles, some are better for different types of acne. A major difference is that almost all prescription retinols contain only the active ingredient in a rather bland base. So you're getting the prescription strength of whatever the drug ingredient is, but you're not getting anything else that really is going to benefit skin. So and that's interesting. I don't know why more prescription topicals aren't formulated more thoughtfully in that regard, the way cosmetics are. I never quite understood that. So with the Resist Triple Active Total Repair Serum, you're getting that trifecta of the key ingredients that I think the visible improvements that those can make may have you second guessing whether or not you even need a prescription topical product. I mean, at least from the standpoint of, I'm thinking of talking to my dermatologist about this because I'm concerned with wrinkles or I'm concerned with dark spots. Obviously, different story if you are dealing with something like acne, then I would say run, don't walk, to talk to your dermatologist about what prescription options you should be using alongside your OTC skincare. So I think this is the last question, right? Yeah. What about the Resourcinol component of Hexal Resourcinol? Isn't it a skin irritant? And this is definitely a not to worry type situation. Despite the name Resourcinol, it's not an apples to apples comparison. It's sort of like how using sodium chloride in skincare products isn't the same as using chlorine, simply because you can't make sodium chloride without using chlorine. So Hexal Resourcinol actually has what's called GRAS status, which stands for generally recognized as safe for use in food. Resourcinol does not have that status for any application. They are two different chemicals. Resourcinol is a benzene diol, technically known as 1,2-dihydroxybenzene. And Hexal Resourcinol has an N-hexyl chain attached, which gives it different properties. You're changing the molecular structure, therefore you have a different ingredient. Commercially available Hexal Resourcinol, that which is used in cosmetics from reputable suppliers, and I can assure you we are using a reputable supplier of Hexal Resourcinol, is actually certified Resourcinol free. So there's no concern that you are using an irritating ingredient on your skin. Hexal Resourcinol is actually shown to be quite soothing. Okay, let's move over to some questions. Good. Got enough. I think we have enough time to get to most of the questions. Shane is asking any benefits, thoughts on snail filtrate mucin. Shane, I'll tell you my thoughts, but I also want you to check out our cosmetic ingredient dictionary. I think it's been posted by now. Entry for that snail secretion ferment filtrate, I think is the inky name. It is kind of an interesting ingredient. It does have some soothing qualities. It has some humectant or moisture attracting properties. So yeah, it's aside from, I still think that because it comes from snails, and I think snails are, with all due respect, they're just kind of icky. I'm not one of those people that are like, look, a snail. But the snail slime, as it were, is an animal byproduct. The snail isn't harmed, as I understand it, to maintain this. It is literally something that the snail secretes in order to lubricate its underside so that it can move over various types of surfaces. But it doesn't like go back and pick that up and recycle it. It just is kind of left to dry, and the snail goes on its merry way. Well, Shane also asks, what's the difference between PC Clinical Repair Serum, which I love, and this new... Okay, I think that was covered in the chat, Shane. Let me know if I didn't cover all the bases there. Okay, Aphrodite says, hello, is it suitable for skin with rosacea? Also, will it be available in Europe? We answered the rosacea part. In terms of Europe, I don't think this is prohibited in Europe, and I believe they're going to be launching it later on in the year, but I would have to circle back and double check on the exact plan in that regard. It is generally it's generally always best to email the team in the European country that you live in. Paula's Choice is distributed in most European countries. If not all of them by now. So they will have the most updated information on whether a new product of ours is launching in that market, and then when you can expect to see it. Iman B says, I love your azelaic acid. Thank you so much. Gianna says, will this give me better results than if I'm already using the clinical 1% retinol and 10% niacin my booster? Good question, Gianna. I know I kind of touched on that in various ways in the discussion prior to this point. You would have to experiment to see. I think to a certain degree, it would be additive, but perhaps only incrementally so. That is just off the top of my head. You would have to experiment and see what you think. If you are getting great results from the clinical 1% and the 10% niacinamide combo, I don't necessarily think you need to get away from those. But if you're curious to try this serum and see for yourself, am I noticing much of an improvement? Is it pretty much status quo? I don't think you'd go backwards at all. So yeah, from there, it's pretty much up to you if you want to take that chance, but I don't think it would be at all harmful. Okay. Diana, hey Brian, I know you're talking about the new peptide booster, but I'm curious when the new Calm SPF is coming out. I was a product tester and loved it. I'm eager to purchase it as soon as it's released. Diana, I don't have an exact launch date yet, other than at last I knew it was slated for the early part of next year. So my apologies. Yeah, I wish it was coming out sooner than that, but we do have an approved formula that passed its SPF 30 testing. Woohoo! And I think you're really gonna love. I don't know 100% if it's the exact same formula that you tested, but I don't think it would be too far removed. I mean, maybe a little tweak here, a little tweak there, and generally when we make those tweaks, it is for the better. We do end up getting an aesthetic improvement. We take something that people liked and it gets even better. Okay. Another question, could I use it before the C5 Super Boost Moisturizer? I really love this cream. Greetings from Greece. Yes, you can. In fact, the C5 Super Boost Moisturizer has become my moisturizer of choice for night. So I have been layering those two products for quite some time now. Monica Dougal, South Asian skin with hyperpigmentation, post-acne marks, this serum will help. Yes, I do think it would. Already using Discoloration Serum, azelaic acid, BHA 2%, AHA 5%, all vitamin C 5%, 15%, 25%, 1% retinol bakuchiol. I would say try swapping the triple active total repair serum for the clinical 0.3% retinol, 2% bakuchiol product and see how you do. You may find that ultimately you prefer the retinol bakuchiol product, or you may think that you may discover that this does more for your skin. I don't think, with everything else that you're using, I don't think you should add this to the mix without taking one of the retinol products you're using away. Pam E, will an exfoliant still be needed when using this? Yes. Retinoids don't exfoliate skin in the same manner that acid-based exfoliants do. Where retinoids improve skin cell turnover and help refine skin surface is their impact on the differentiation. That process where the new skin cells move and they move through skin's layers in a more timely fashion, and they shed at a more normal rate. And then that's one aspect of improving skin's surface radiance, its smoothness, its getting rid of that rough texture, helping to reduce enlarged pores. The acid-based exfoliants work in various ways, but primarily by breaking the bonds that are holding those dead, dull skin cells to the surface and allowing them to build up. The retinoids don't have that impact on breaking those bonds that are keeping those skin cells from jumping ship, so to speak. Again, going back to my skincare routine, I continue to use a leave-on exfoliant at night. My choice is the Calm 1% BHA exfoliant, and then I follow with this, and then my C5 Super Boost, and then the Resist Anti-Aging Eye Cream. That is the one I use at night. During the day, I like the C5 Super Boost Eye Cream, just so everyone's clear on what I'm doing around my eyes. Let's see, which of these products should I replace with the serum? That was Monica. We handled that. Monica, I don't think you need the 10 and the 20% vitamin, or 10 and 20% niacinamide. I would go with one or the other. And all right, I think that wraps us up a little bit earlier, which is fine. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this discussion of the new Triple Active Total Repair Serum. You are welcome to reach out to us anytime on any of our social platforms, as well as contact our client services team directly for additional questions or help figuring out how to fit this serum into your routine. I've been super happy with it. It's been very gratifying working with our incredible team on this formula. As well as working, this was a really nice partnership with Unilever, and so they deserve kudos for their research on some key ingredients in this formula as well. And I hope you guys try it. And if you do try it, I want you to tell me what you think, what results you've seen. I hope with all my heart that your results are as good as, if not better, than what I've experienced. And I will be back in a couple of weeks with an all-new live chat. So I'll see you then. Thanks.